Hi, my name is Jim Robinson, and I'm a fourth-season backpacking and hiking leader for the Appalachian Mountain Club. Today we're going to look at 3 different types of backpacking stoves. We'll examine how they work and some of the advantages and disadvantages of each.
The first stove we'll look at is the older version of the Snow GigaPower. This simple burner that sits atop the fuel canister was very popular for many years and still is often used by backpackers along the Appalachian, Pacific Crest, and Continental Divide trails because of its small size and weight. Though it and a number of other gas stoves has a piezoelectric igniter, I recommend carrying a spare lighter or matches as they can be less than reliable. The second stove we will look at is the MSR Windburner Duo. This is a radiant heat stove, a type made very popular by the Jetboil flash stove about a decade ago. These types of stoves are larger and heavier, but typically boil water much faster than the previous type of stove. Because most backpacking food is cooked by boiling water, this is a big advantage. The third and last stove we will look at is the MSR WhisperLite Universal. This is a hybrid stove. Building on its predecessor, the MSR WhisperLite International, that could burn white gas, kerosene, and gasoline, this stove can also use the isobutane propane mixture that the 2 previous stoves used. We will not demonstrate the use of gas with this stove, but will focus on the use of liquid fuel. One significant advantage with a liquid fuel stove is the ability to cook at very low temperatures.
The last one we'll look at.
When we refer to gas stoves, we do not mean gasoline, but are referring to the state of matter, that is, that it is a gas and not a liquid or a solid. The gas that is typically used in backpacking stoves is isobutane propane mix. There may be some butane as well, but that is usually due to impurities. This fuel comes in sealed canisters that are pressurized. The typical sizes are 4, 8, and 16 ounces. Most people use the 8-ounce canister, but there's many who also use the 4-ounce canisters for shorter trips. The use of the 4-ounce canister means you often need to support the canister, usually with clip-on legs. I do not believe I've seen the 16-ounce canister in use. The Jetboil canister indicates that you may get as many as 55 boils from a single 8-ounce canister. Typically, you will get the same number of boils no matter which canister brand you are using. The 55 comes from only boiling a half liter at a time. So using the 2 liter a day benchmark, you may be able to get about 10 days out of the canister, but that is being very optimistic from my experience. A final note on canisters. The gross and net weight is usually on the canister. You can weigh them to determine how many more days you may get from one that has already been used. Not a bad idea if you're going on a trip. We'll see liquid fuel used in the last stove. 3 different liquid fuels are often used: white gas, gasoline, and kerosene. White gas burns the cleanest and is usually what you'll find people in the US using. It is a little safer than gasoline. There's a specific burner nozzle used for both white gas and gasoline. Kerosene is often used overseas and is more readily available there than white gas. Kerosene has its own specific burner nozzle that comes with the stove, and it can be changed out. There are different sized aluminum bottles available for liquid fuels, including 11, 20, and 30 ounces. The 20-ounce bottles are the most popular. It can boil about 30 liters of water if using white gas. It will last for 10 to 12 days or more under normal circumstances.
To use this, you fold out the stand. You need to remember to shut the valve before you screw it on, and then you just screw it onto the canister. Usually bleeds just a small amount of fuel on it on the way out, and there there's your stove. Fill your pot up, set your pot on top, put the lid on, and away you go. Okay, so let's go and start with this first stove here. I've got the same amount of water I'll use in each one. We're going to boil them off and see how long it takes. It's going to take a lot longer for me than it is for you. Very simple to start. Open the valve, go and light a match or a lighter nearby, and let it go. Today's a windy day. It's rather chilly out. I think it's a little bit below 50 degrees right now. This is going to take a while to go and heat up. Summer backpacking, you go and you light this, and within 4 minutes or so, you should have the water boiling, and that would be close to 16 ounces of water instead of the 8 that I have in there. Today, it may take a good bit longer than that for it to go and boil. That is probably the biggest negative side of this one. Is does not work well in cold weather, and it does not work well in wind. You cannot go and put a shield around this to go and protect it from the wind. Doing that will go and heat this, and you have the potential of an explosion. So do not put a heat shield around this to try and heat it up. Another thing that you can go and do with these to go and make them more efficient in cold weather is to go and put them in a liquid water bath. That is, go and put them in a container, put some water around it. The water will actually keep the sides of the canister warmer, keep the fuel warmer, and you'll get a better burn by doing that. The second type of stove we're going to go and look at is the reactor stove. We'll start this up. There's a few differences on here. You'll notice that it does not sit right on top of the container. Screw it onto the container like this, so they sit apart. The pot, which all you're doing is boiling water with this, goes and sits right on top of this, and the flames go up here, but the heat remains next to the canister the whole time and is insulated inside here, going and really concentrating the heat on going and boiling the water with less heat that is lost ambiently going out on the sides. Okay, so now we'll start with this one. Light it. Going. And here we go. Let's see how long this takes. Okay, this is a rolling boil. That was fast. We're going to go and look at runs on liquid fuel. The fuel comes in this bottle right here. It's essentially very, very close to gasoline. A little bit less explosive than gasoline, but still it's probably more dangerous than those gas-filled ones. However, being a liquid, it works very, very well at low temperatures. You go and you pressurize it. So to go and use this, you take the cap off the fuel bottle, and then you put this inside. Now take a look at this. This is where the fuel goes in, and this is where you go and pump pressure into it. So you just set it on top, screw it down, make sure you get a good seal, airtight seal. Make sure that the valve is all the way shut. That one was all the way open. And then you stop pumping. The stove goes and connects to the fuel container. So you take the stove, and then you lock it into place so that you have this, you have the stove and the bottle separate. You want to have it so that the bottle has that valve up, because remember we went and saw where the fuel comes in. We want the fuel at the bottom. The stove itself, you can open it up like this so you can set it down on a platform and go and light it out. You don't want to have a yellow flame. As much as possible, it should be all a blue flame.